Dubs Talk Live brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. A wire-to-wire win for the Warriors, bringing their record to 6-1, and now they have the top teams in the NBA ahead of them on this road trip. Ooh, it's about to get good. This is Warriors insider Monte Poole. I'm Kerith Burke. First things first, though, relieved to know that Steph Curry is feeling okay after he missed several games, 3 games that is, with the rolled left ankle. 24 minutes, 24 points, but the way Steph was moving was very encouraging.
He looked like Steph, and that's been his tendency throughout his career. He's 16th year now, and he's been in and out of the lineup over maybe 15 times over that time span. And it seems like every time he comes back, he looks great, And so tonight, he didn't start off really great. He made his first shot at 3, and then he kind of cooled off. But in the third quarter, man, he lit it up. And so he found a groove there, and it looked the part and showed it. And I think the third quarter is when the Warriors said, okay, we're getting our guy back. Yeah, Steph moving through some double teams, moving well, having some fun in this game. Thank you guys for watching. We want to have some fun with you tonight. If you are watching on YouTube, it's really cool to know where we have people watching from around the world. We also want to address your questions. So if you have a question for us, let it be known. Drop it in that chat. We'll answer those questions in the B block. Right now, we've got Draymond Green, who had 18 points. Let me do a double take there. A very efficient night. Draymond Green at the podium.
This is game 7, and right now you're trying to put together a great season. So for us, it's not even necessarily about the team we playing or how hard they're playing or lack thereof, or, it's about us and coming out and establishing the identity of the team that we want to be for 82 games and then on into the playoffs.
All right, thank you so much. Like the jersey, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Got 6-1 now, 4-0 on the road. Road trip continues with some tough teams. Where do you assess this right now in the early going for you guys?
I think we're establishing who it is that we want to be. We want to be a great defensive team. We want to get out and push the tempo, and we want to keep our turnovers down. Historically, we've been a team that has turned the ball over a lot, and that has fallen on the shoulders of me and Steph. And, coach has challenged us to change from a team that turned the ball over a lot, and the decisions that, we may make that's kind of tested, pushing the line a little bit, to not make those decisions, and be solid. And, that's the mindset that we're coming out with. And, so as far as an assessment, I'm not really assessing. Our 6-1 doesn't mean anything, just like their 2-4 doesn't mean anything. You're just trying to get better each and every day. Winning a championship or competing for a championship is a year-long process, and we're just trying to embrace that process and hopefully give ourselves a chance at the end.
Draymond, hey, I'm curious what you thought about the matchup with a couple of the younger Wizards players, especially Keyshawn George, because he had a stretch there where he made a couple threes, and I saw you two kind of talking with each other as you went up and down the court. So what did you think of those matchups?
I'm a big fan of him and Bud. The energy that they bring, the demeanor that they bring. That's the first time we've seen a Washington Wizards team play that hard in years. And it's because of them two guys' energy. They come out talking. They bark. I had to ask both of them. I said, I asked Keyshawn, you talk? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, that's what we're doing. I like that. And then Bud was talking from the gate. And, I came into the league with that type of energy. And I respect guys that do. You don't come in, you don't bow down to anybody. My mindset, well, I don't care what you did before I got here. You ain't doing while I was here. So what you did before, that got nothing to do with me. And that's the type of time they was on. And it showed. They never quit. We were in control of the game the whole game. At no point did they quit. At no point did you feel it was easy. And then also, you can tell that Coach Keith is doing an incredible job. And Dave, they're doing a great job. And how you can tell if a team is well coached, every single time we got the ball in the pocket, we got to drive, their low man was there. And that is a telling sign of an NBA team. When their low man gets there, they were there every single time. And so, I think for the first time in a long time, this city, this organization got some guys that they can look forward with. And that's an exciting thing, but to get back on topic, I like those young guys a lot. They just got a demeanor, and then they got game. It's not like it's just a rah-rah guy out there. They got game to go with it. And so they earned my respect tonight for sure.
What did you say to them after the game?
I just told them, keep going and stay on that same type of energy with everybody. You know, every one of these guys you run up against that's supposed to be the who's who, stay on that type of time. Because that's how you get respect. You don't get respect for running the other way. You get respect for running up to them guys, and this is who I am. I don't really care. Keyshawn said something. He's like, you can't shoot. I said, you've been watching people say that. When you were in elementary school, you was watching me win a championship, and people was thinking that same thing. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I like that. I like that. Like, you make the next one. And when we was going back and forth, I told him, I said, don't help. And then he was like, yeah, all right, I'm going to keep helping. I said, I can't help off you right now. You can't help off me right now. But it was good banter. I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
I feel like Draymond has had a compliment for a young player after every single game. That's the way he watches this league. Also, we got to shout out the Macklin Celebrini jersey that Draymond was wearing. So Rick Celebrini's son, the #1 pick, playing for the Sharks. Draymond and some other Warriors were in the Sharks box to watch that on Macklin's debut. Really cool to see that. Back to Draymond shooting real quick, because 3 threes from Draymond Green, part of 18 points. You're going to write about Draymond Green. Can you give us a preview?
Well, think about this. You know, the Warriors now have 6 guys that are shooting at least 40% from 3. Steph Curry is 6th. He's 6th.
Okay.
Ahead of him are Lindy Waters,
Buddy Hield,
Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, and Draymond Green.
Okay.
And Draymond is #1. That's the thing that got me. I was like, wait. And again, it's 10 of 19. Which is not a gigantic sample size, but it's pretty decent for Draymond. You know, he hasn't taken 200 threes in a year since 2018. So he's on pace to shoot like 240 of them this year. Keep shooting them, you know, because like he was saying just now, defenses look at him and go ahead.
Yeah.
You're not a shooter, you can't shoot. And as long as he's making them, I'm wondering at what point will defenses say, okay, maybe we should go out there at least hedge or something, give him something. So it's just one of those things I'm looking at and going, let's see how long this lasts before defenses react.
All right, we're going to talk about the starters in just a moment, but I want to tell you guys, if you're just tuning in on YouTube, please leave us some questions. We will take the whole next block to answer what you are curious about. I know you've got some questions heading into the rest of this road trip. Celtics coming up next. All right, in this game, Steph returned, so I wondered, okay, are things going to go back to normal? Will JK be in that starting lineup? But there was a situational change. It was GP2 in that starting lineup, so he could be the one to pester Jordan Poole. How do you think that worked out tonight?
Well, I mean, JP got 24 points, but he was 8 of 20 from the field. You'll take that. And 2 of 10 from 3, you will definitely take that. And you look at, you know, he had 3 assists, 1 turnover. So, I mean, I think in general, they didn't let JP get going like he wants to get going. He didn't make, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 shots in a row, nothing like that. So, and I go back to when JP was with the Warriors and how he and Gary, you saw him tonight at times, you know, going after each other and messing with each other, because they would talk about each other like that when they were teammates, you know, and Jordan would say, can't nobody stop me? And Gary would be right behind him saying, I can. And Jordan would say, no, you can't. I do it all the time in practice, you know, back and forth. So I expect that to happen tonight, that there would be some back and forth. It's all good natured.
Yeah,
you know.
all good fun.
Yeah, and you saw, like after the game, you saw Steph give Jordan a big old hug. You saw Gary go over there and give him a push, and Jordan pushed him back, you know. So it's fun to watch. And also, though, I think that Steve was looking at Jordan and saying, if the Wizards are going to beat us, Jordan's got to be a big part of that. Let's make sure he doesn't get going, so give Gary the start. Now, Gary might not start again for a while. Yeah. But tonight, in this game, in this instance, this is Steve saying, I can do situational starting assignments because of who we are.
Poole has had a really encouraging start to the season.
Yeah,
you know, 51% from 3, as you mentioned. You could tell he was locked in tonight, too. Remember the knock on him was defense? Well, he's like, okay, I'm going to come at you with 3 steals, 4 blocks. So on every end, every facet of the game, he was giving it his best. And, yeah, nice to see those hugs at the end, wishing GP the best. All right, so we were talking about no Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup for the 3rd straight game. Again, with Steph Curry out the 2 games and then with the team going with GP2 on Jordan Poole in this one, it feels like the next game might be JK's to go back into the starting lineup. But let me just ask, because it has been going so well for JK off the bench, matching him with Buddy, they're leading this bench unit that is scoring the most in the NBA. Is it a given that JK goes back in the starting lineup? For
I
the
think
next
there's a
game?
good chance of that, and part of it may be not. Wiggins was questionable, was probable before the game. He still had some back issues, and Wiggins didn't play well tonight. You know, he had a hard time making a shot, and he finally got a shot to go for him later in the game, but. He missed all of his three-point shots, and so he didn't look quite like as lively as he has been.
Okay.
If he goes, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Steve said, okay, I need JK out there too, because Boston is a floor spacing team with athletes. And that seems to me they're long. You know, somebody's got to guard Jason Tatum, somebody's got to guard Jaylen Brown, and somebody's got to guard Derek White. So, and those guys are all 6'7" and higher. So it's going to be interesting, but I would think that if Wiggins is good to go, that he will probably go back to the starting lineup that opened the season with Steph and Wiggs in the backcourt, and then JK and Draymond and Trace up front.
Yeah, that's my feeling too, going back to your best starting five right there. And hopefully the Celtics will be able to have their best on the floor. Jaylen Brown has a hip issue, missed tonight's game. Wiggins, tough night. I'm glad you mentioned his low back strain, because I wonder if that's bothering him when you see him go 1 of 9, 0 for 6. Do you have any concerns heading into the Celtics game?
They didn't sound concerned at first, but tonight, watching him, I mean, he just didn't look quite like himself. I mean, he got open looks and didn't make anything. So I don't know. And he didn't play much late either. And I'm wondering if you know, he felt any issues going in. So we'll look at the injury report tomorrow before the game against Boston and see where it stands. But again, for each of the last 2 games, he's been listed as probable, which means you're probably going to play, but at the same time, you're on the injury list, which says, okay, there is at least some concern.
Something there. And you can see him wearing the heat pack, the heat belt, anytime he's on the bench or standing up there. So, all right, I think we are both of an age where, you know, if you have a back problem, it really slows you down.
Been like that for a while.
Ooh, okay. All right, when we come back, we will address your YouTube questions. Lots of curiosity in the chat about that Celtics game coming up. Some meaty opponents coming up for the Warriors. We'll get into that.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for our Black Friday sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
Hello, the great Bambi. Aaron is in there saying, I think with the squad, the Warriors can go all the way. Oh my goodness. Adriana is saying Draymond is locked in right now. Love to see it. Yeah, Draymond is the linchpin of this defensive effort. Again, the Warriors coming back to that, wanting to set a defensive tone.
Yeah.
So far, so good?
Yeah, I mean, they've been a top 3 defense so far this season, and so their goal is top 10, but if they stay top 5, that can make a big difference, you know. I think when you look at the Warriors going into this season, most people who are looking at them saying, they look like maybe a play-in team, maybe they can sneak into 6 or 7 or something like that. I think they can go as high as 6 if they stay healthy and continue to play defense.
Okay.
And I still, again, I keep saying that I still believe that, I know they're looking, I still believe that they will make a trade at some point before the trade deadline in February.
Even with this squad, even with this depth,
Yes.
I suppose it's made for,
Yes.
the depth is made for a
Yes, yes. And this team, I don't think this team has the top level talent required to win a championship. And I know Mike Dunleavy in the way he thinks, and I think he's, you know, he likes his team.
Yep.
But I think they want a team that they like, that they can love.
Okay. A team that can be a contender, not just an improvement over last season.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs no matter. I think they'll make the playoffs, but that's not good enough. They want to be a little better than that. So.
Okay. I heard you. Thank you. Let me see. Every single team was in action tonight. Every single team. That's to free up Election Day tomorrow. I need to see if I can update some scores.
So nobody's playing tomorrow.
Nobody's playing tomorrow. Need to make sure. Are the Cavaliers? Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Monte and Kerith here with you. We are going to your questions, thanking the viewers on YouTube watching us around the world. We got the Celtics, the Cavs, and OKC next to finish out this 5-game road trip. And one of those questions is about an opponent on this trip. Throw that one up there. Charlie wants to know, will the Dubs be the first to beat the Cavs? Very interesting question. I feel like some of this to me will have to do with what kind of emotional hangover there will be against the Celtics.
Right. The Cavs have been terrorizing people. I mean, they are really good. You know, last year they played really good defense. And Kenny Atkinson, former Warriors assistant coach.
There you go.
He's the head coach there now, and he's doing a great job, obviously, get these guys ready to play. Donovan Mitchell is tremendous. And it just looks like when you watch the Cavs play, like they're enjoying each other too. But when you have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, there's a lot of length out there up front, and you've got Garland and Mitchell in the backcourt. You got two talented guys back there. It's a good team, and that team is going to should be in the top 4 in the East. And that's not, that's not a snatch. That's not easy to say, but that team is good enough to do that. And if Kenny, keeps his thumb on the button there, they'll be well. They'll be looking good.
Kenny Atkinson seems like a good fit for Cleveland too, which is interesting because coaches have to fit with the team as well. Kenny Atkinson was here. He was the defensive coordinator, so to speak. Warriors didn't care for their defense last year. This year, a lot of praises for Jerry Stackhouse.
Yeah. I mean, Kenny is really, he was sort of, that was given him out of necessity. Somebody had to do it kind of, it was not like, it wasn't ideal. They brought in Mike Brown to do that.
Yes.
They brought in Jerry Stackhouse to do that.
Yes.
With Kenny, they were like, okay, Mike's not here. Yeah. Can you handle defense? You and Chris DeMarco, you guys deal with the defense. And the word that keeps coming up when you talk about the difference between last year and this year defensively is accountability. And Mike Brown was that guy who made sure guys were. Yeah. And Jerry seems to be the same guy. Yeah. So I know Draymond embraces it. Moses Moody said, I like hearing guys who just give it to me straight. So yeah.
Well, wasn't Draymond the one who said that Stack is giving guys post-game grades afterward too, like a literal report card to let them know? So there's your accountability right there.
He'll tell Draymond,
right there on the list.
He'll tell Draymond if you're like a few inches over than where you should be, no, you're not in the right spot. You're close, but you're in the right spot.
Stack has that kind of voice where he can tell Draymond that
exactly.
stuff.
They know where he's been.
Yep. Here's that next question from YouTube. I think it's even looking ahead. There you go. After the next 5 games, very tough games. Oh, you're asking for a prediction.
After 12 games, I would say 8-4.
My first thought, honestly, was 10-2. Just
wow.
Yeah, but that's I'm on the vibes train.
I mean, I'm going to be realistic. 10-2 would be fantastic.
That would be.
I think 8-4 feels more realistic.
Okay.
Because they haven't faced really a tough defense other than the Clippers. Clippers pretty good defense, and they lost that game.
Yep.
So they're going to see Boston, better defense. Cleveland, better defense.
Yes,
OKC, better defense.
Yes.
So
I'm being silly.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine them winning 2 of 3, but if they do it, it tells you more about the Warriors than it does about those other three teams because they're all going to be there at the end.
Yeah. Well, and the last game of the road trip, often regarded as the hardest one, simply because they've been away for so long. That's OKC.
Yeah.
I mean, this 3-game stretch coming up is going to be extraordinarily difficult for the Warriors. Oh, and then they come home and have the Mavericks. And the Clay game.
Klay Thompson.
Okay, we're talking about emotional hangovers and just a swirl of emotions. And man, the Warriors are in it.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but OKC is going to be, that's the monster. I mean, I think they're better than the best team in the West right now.
Yeah.
And they were the #1 seed last year, and they're better now. So be careful.
All right, let's talk about that starting lineup for the Boston game. We talked about it a little bit if JK was going to go back into the starting lineup. I think there will be a starting lineup change. I think the Warriors are going to try to go with their opening night starting 5, which they have deemed the best overall. And that's the same?
Yeah, I think, even if Wiggins doesn't go, I still think you'll see JK in the starting lineup. But if you have both of them, they'll both be in the starting lineup, I believe. And that way you can kind of match up with athlete versus athlete, length on length, and run the floor with those guys. So, because Boston spreads the floor like no other team in the league.
Boston has some size as well.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Tatum is 6'9", Jaylen Brown 6'7", Derek White. So they got across the board. They're centers, whether it,
Al Horford hits
Al
threes.
Horford he shoots threes. So, and he's 6'10". So you're looking at a team that you have to be able to run and really kind of close out really hard.
Yeah.
You can't give them much room to breathe, but they're so good at creating space because they're all around the circle.
Okay,
They are.
so right now the Celtics are the leading scoring team in the NBA and the team that's hit the most three-pointers in the NBA. So it's almost like looking at like an old version of the Warriors, kind of like this is what is, you know, and they were the champs last season.
Well, yeah,
So
they won tonight by 30, I think, and without Jaylen Brown. So, I mean, they're obviously not perfect. They're beatable. They've lost, but they're a really, really good team, and they've been the consensus pick to repeat. So I see why.
Yeah, also playing this game at the Garden, that's an extra layer of difficulty for the Dubs, but I think at this point the Dubs are looking for some competition. Let's see if this is real. All right, we had another question in YouTube. It was asking for a Brandon Pajemski update because he left very suddenly in the second quarter. So it was that weird sequence. Steph didn't check in to start the second quarter.
Right.
Okay, Pods is coming in, then Pods had to exit very quickly, then Lindy Waters came in, then Steph came in. Okay, long explanation, but Pods had to leave, and Steve Kerr said he was told by the medical staff that it was just a very sudden illness, and that it seems like Pods should be okay for the Boston game, and they need him. They need his steadiness, I would say, against the Celtics.
Well, he's a big part of their second unit, you know, and he basically is the connector out there and gives them a little bit of everything. And so when he's not out there, what it means basically is, it's more minutes for Kyle Anderson, which against Boston would necessarily be a bad thing. But you want Pods out there because of the way he can sort of he just creates action. He's dynamic, he's always moving and stuff. So he's a guy, he's harder to defend than a lot of guys in this league. And so you watch the other 2 nights ago when he's in the paint, you know, and doing, you know, these Hakeem Olajuwon footwork moves, you know, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, and so that's tough to defend, and that's his way of leveraging his activity against guys that are bigger than him, you know, and he can do that. And so, from what I understand, it sounds like he'll be back, you know, 2 days from now, but we'll see.
Okay, and Pods tends to be one of the team's rebound leaders in a game or assist leaders in a game. So doing those things that frustrate people, taking charges, being a little bit of a villain sometimes. I almost see him stepping into that role like a mini Draymond, right? He's talked about being a mini Draymond.
Yeah, he's a guy, I mean, people have asked me who you compare to, and I keep saying Manu Ginobili. And, you know, Manu's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that Pods is going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying he isn't either. But what I'm saying is that Ginobili is one of those guys you couldn't really pigeonhole him. He was one of those guys that, was he a guard? Was he a forward? He kind of did a little bit of everything. He was never the best scorer, never the best playmaker, never the best defender, but he was always a guy who made good things happen on the court. And Pods is like that, you know, and that's why he's always very high in the plus-minus category.
Wouldn't he also love the longevity of Manu's career
man,
as well?
Manu played until he was bald.
I can't. Now I'm trying to imagine Pods without the curly hair, and I can't do it. All right, when we come back, let's look at the schedule. I'll see if I can update some of the records for the Celtics, Cavs, and OKC. We also need to talk about what this game in the Garden's going to be like for Steve Kerr. Next. The Celtics. Let me see. I got to look at these scores. The Celtics. All right, the Cavs won tonight. They're 8-0. Are the Celtics playing right now? Oh, they beat the Hawks.
They won last.
Okay,
they won already.
7-1.
Yeah.
And OKC.
Clobbered the Hawks. Yeah.
Let's see. What's OKC doing tonight? I think maybe they're in progress. I missed this one. Oh, they're probably going to beat the Magic. It's 84-59 right now in the fourth quarter. Well,
They're
they
just
don't have
stomping
Banchero.
people.
They don't have Banchero
Right.
either. So
Yeah, they're stomping people.
that stinks. Banchero had the first 50-point game in the NBA and then had to exit with a.
He's going to be out for a while now.
Yeah, 4 to 6
Oblique
weeks.
or something? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to say at this time it looks like the Thunder will probably move to 7.
Yeah.
7-0. Okay. Yeah, here it comes. Here's your test.
Man.
Do. Oh, I think anytime I think we've got Giannis's name in here. People are curious when you mention trades, because Giannis possibly come.
You know what? The Thunder have the biggest win differential in the league. The Thunder has the biggest win differential in the league.
Ah, okay.
By an average of 17.7 points.
Okay. The Warriors have to be up there too, yeah?
Number 2.
Yeah, okay.
17-3.
Okay. Poor Otis, the Hawks are a joke. Oh, man. All right.
Come on, Grant.
You were saying greetings from Singapore. Love it. Hopes Wiggins takes to the paint instead of taking the 3. Okay. With a back injury, though.
I know. That's probably, yeah, I'm going to assume that probably was an issue tonight. It looked like it might be.
Welcome back to Dubs Talk, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. I know we're kind of beating you over the head with this schedule, but I feel like this 3-game set coming up here on the road, this could determine how good the Warriors will be this season. I think this is the first test. Is this team real? Is this a contender or a pretender? It's the Celtics, the Cavaliers, OKC, and then Clay game. That's the one on the 12th. Can't forget about that one either. So, man, Monte, it just feels big right now, but exciting for the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, whether they win or lose wherever the outcomes are in these next 3 games, I don't know how much to put on it because it's still so early. You know, and coaches like to say that it's tough to evaluate your team until you're like 20 games into the season. And this is the first 10.
This is Monte being so nice to me because I'm like, yeah, they're going to.
No, but I mean, it is. And so if they sweep these 3 games, it's great for the psychology of it all,
sure.
You know, and they feel great about themselves. If they lose all 3, they shouldn't feel terrible about themselves because these are the 3 best teams in the league right now. And they're looking at those 3 teams. And so if they lose all 3 of them, they should, you know, it depends on how they lose them.
That's kind of how I feel too. And
Yeah.
it's not a moral victory thing, but it's how did you honestly match up?
Yes.
Did you give it your best? Every man.
Did you have a
48
chance in
minutes?
those games?
Yes.
A real chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's, I feel that way too. But
Yeah. If you lose all 3 of those games, but you had a chance in all 3, yeah, you're going to feel bad about it. But there's a part of you that's going, okay, we're not that far away from
Yeah.
what we could be.
Yes, we'll
and
be
we're going to
okay.
and we're going to get better.
But can that also give Mike Dunleavy some clarity about maybe what is the one thing missing? Yes. So I feel like there's such an emphasis on these 3 games, and this is the media putting the emphasis on these 3 games. I am the media. But I would be massively on the hype train if they were to win all 3 of these games. Let me state now, I don't think they will. I think one of these games they'll lose. I think they might be able to win.
If they win 2, it's fantastic trip. 4-1 trip
road trip
with this schedule.
Yes.
That's exceptional. But you know, I'm looking to see because I know people in Boston are waiting to see Steve Kerr.
They are. They might have some gripes about
They ain't happy
Jason
with him.
Tatum in the Olympics. He played only 11 minutes in the gold medal game, missed 2 of the 6 games that Team USA played because Steve Kerr didn't start him. Okay.
Yeah,
didn't play him.
Didn't play him. Yeah, and then he didn't play him one game. He started him the next game. It's kind of like, whoa, now he likes. No, and people took it as if Steve was being, subjective about it. Said, no, you won't play. I think he was looking at his roster and going, what are the best fit? He's big on fit, and to me, the bottom line is the team won a gold medal.
Yes.
So why are you complaining?
One for Jason Tatum, by the way. Yes.
Why complain when your team won? They accomplished the mission.
I mean,
I know, but in Boston, they're like, no.
Some people love to hold a grudge. It motivates you. I don't know. All right, so Steve Kerr might get a crazy reception when the Warriors roll into town. So excited for that game, and we'll see you in a couple days for it. Thanks for watching Dubs Talk, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. All right, we're talking about Steph's ankles here. Yeah, in year 16, I think Steph knows what to do to manage his ankles. I think he has, his braces are heavy duty. He's got the best in the world for those ankles. And yet still little things happen, non-contact rolls. Yeah, that's nice to see.
I mean, I think in Steph's case, the 24-minute restriction was just to make sure that they didn't push it too hard. They're looking at him again tomorrow and see where he sits, but they're scheduling a practice tomorrow and see whether he participates fully or partially or whatever. Okay. But I think the bottom line is that they saw enough tonight to say that Steph looks like Steph.
Okay.
And if he looks like Steph, you're gonna need him against Boston just to compete in that building because last year they were blown off the floor there. Yeah, I don't remember what the loss was by, but it was like 140-point loss.
I thought it was by more than 30.
It was gigantic.
Yeah, absolutely waxed.
I mean, Steph and Draymond were sitting out most of the second half because it was like no point.
Okay. All right, so Boston will let them know that. They'll have some words for Kerr. They will let Draymond know they still hate him. What else? Okay.
They really hate him, yes.
Woo! All right,
Yeah.
sounds like a game to tune in for.
Yeah.
We'll see you then. Bye, guys.